Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. This is our 34th episode.
Sounds
Let's
about right.
make sure that you guys can hear us and you guys can see us okay, and then we will jump right into it. So let us know you can hear us and see us, and that everything is kosher, and we will be running with it. I'm actually gonna throw up some of the stuff that we haven't put up in a while.
What are you going to put up?
Oh, just like we're gonna have like 8 logos on the page here. It's gonna be like a logo.
Logo it up. All right.
Look at that. Hellbent Holler Live. That way you know we're live.
Look
We
at
are
that.
live.
Spicy.
All right. Cool. Sam Burton says he can hear us fine. Great. Wonderful.
And my brother Drew is in the chat tonight.
Yep. Drew Muse is out there. Hello, Drew. It is
What's
so
up,
nice
buddy?
to see you. All right. Cool. All right, guys.
That is my brother from New Orleans. We very dear, very dear friend of mine. So.
All right, guys. Welcome to another Monday here at 7:30 Eastern Time, per usual, for Hellbent Holler Live. Joe and I had a pretty interesting outing this past week. We kind of made a decision. Things have been very weird with a lot of the stuff that we've been kind of focusing on and really going for. And I think that we were kind of getting bogged down in a way with some of this crazy occult stuff. And I think it was mentally kind of bogging us down. I do have the second Black Circle video coming out soon. But this past week, we decided we would go out into an area that we had been to a couple of years prior, where we pretty much started out a lot of our Sasquatch investigations. In this area, we found stuff like hair high up in trees. We found footprints. We've heard wood knocks. So we decided to go and check this area out this week. And we were out there for a while. We hiked a lot. It was a lot of hiking, a lot of rough hiking, because it was it's insanely difficult terrain. So we went out there and we actually filmed it. And so I have a video coming out, I believe tomorrow, that is going to be back to our roots, a Sasquatch investigation video.
Old-fashioned Bigfoot hunt.
Old-fashioned. So it's we went out with just 2 cameras and a thermal, and we were out for a long time. And yeah, so that video should be out tomorrow. I think I'll be launching that tomorrow. So you guys keep your notifications on. That'll be out, and you guys can watch that. And we kind of just wanted to get back to our back to the Sasquatch days.
Yeah, well, we've been getting a lot of Sasquatch reports from that area. Other people that are involved in this sort of stuff are also getting a lot of reports from that area. So yeah, we just decided to just kind of like mix stuff up a little bit and to kind of get, like you said, get back to the roots. We went out. We didn't take a ton of the sensor tech equipment with us. We took 1 day camera, 1 night camera, and a thermal. And we took a couple of digital audio recorders that we didn't even really use. But we just figured that we generally try to go where the universe takes us with this stuff. If we start getting repeated reports of a particular type in an area, we go with it. It's almost like that's where we're meant to be at this point. So,
and I think we learned the lesson about that with the whole Dogman thing, is that you and I were not really sold on the idea of Dogman. We really didn't believe it was a thing that could exist or did exist in any kind of way. And then we started receiving those reports from the Central Column of North Carolina. We started receiving those reports like all in a row. It was like machine gun fire on all of these reports of Dogman. And then we decided to go to the LBL after we investigated some of those North Carolina reports. And that kind of put us on the trajectory that we're on now.
Yeah. So
I think that our our first LBL trip, and then the subsequent werewolf experiments trip investigations were kind of like what got us kind of over where we are now.
Yeah.
So when the universe tells us to do something and kind of pushes us in a direction, we like to just go with it. So
this area is it's rough, man. It's a brutal area too. The terrain's a lot different than what we usually maneuver around in like North Georgia or even Kentucky or any of the other spots that we go to. It's brutal. It's very mountainous. It's a network of old trails that aren't really maintained anymore. So you're dealing with a lot of like exposed roots, a lot of exposed rocks. You're hiking along the side of a mountain
with a lot of washout on the
Yeah.
trail. So the trail, like basically what's left of the trail that we kind of use as our basic guide for where we're headed in, is the side of the mountain is just like this kind of grade, and then like there's a tiny little just ledge that we walk on the entire time. So carrying all of our equipment and then trying to film it and everything, it's basically like, all right, let's not fall into a ravine today. So luckily, I always carry my Garmin InReach Mini, because if one of us went tumbling into a ravine,
you ain't carrying me out.
We probably would have had to hit the SOS button.
And it's weird too, because the landscape, like the foliage is so much thicker. I mean, it's thick.
Yeah.
It's really thick. We took that thermal imager with us, and it was pretty much useless for 90% of the night, just because the areas that we were maneuvering through, when we were there 4 or 5 years ago, there was a trail there. It's like 3 feet wide, but people have just stopped going there. So now the trail is just down to just this very, maybe 6 inches across. So you're just kind of going through just these 2 walls of vegetation. And it's very unnerving, because you're just going, something could be 5 feet away from us right now, and I wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah.
So.
And it was, I think if you've been somebody watching our videos for a while, it was an early video that we filmed there, where I found that hair up in that tree, and I kind of went like catatonic in a way.
Yeah. You got dumbfounded.
I was like dumbfounded. I went like basically catatonic. I was just like, here's a hair. And I just completely just like blanked out. I was just gone there. So that was the area that we returned to. I don't think we've been there in 3-4 years. So it was nice to get back there. There had been a controlled burn.
That it pretty much brought all the activity there to a screeching halt.
Yeah, because we were going there pretty often for a while there. And then they did a controlled burn, and it seems like that just turned everything off. It was like flipping a switch. So we kind of let it lie for a while, and we just kind of decided on a whim, let's go back there, because we started getting these reports. Now, one of the reports that we received was from a gentleman that I connected with through the survival and wilderness training school that I attend. He gave us one of the reports about the place. And do you mind if I share the story about
I would be very vague with details on it, but if you want to give the gist of it,
I'll give the basic gist of it. So one of the reports that he gave us, kind of an overview of it. And I think maybe when we go back, I might give more details after we get permission to give more details about the incident. But it was 2 fishermen who went out there, and that particular area is really, really great trout fishing, really great trout fishing. I know a lot of people who travel up there to go trout fishing on a regular basis. So 2 fishermen were out there. They were actually camping out in that particular area where we were this week. And they were in their tent, and they started feeling something pressing in on the walls and breathing heavily. So they had a little bit of a campfire still lit. So you have that backlighting there, and they're in their tent, and they thought it was a bear at first, based on like, okay, the size of whatever this is. It was kind of pressing on the walls of the tent and breathing. And then through the backlight of what's left of their campfire, there was this silhouette of something that was clearly not a bear. And obviously, they were terrified. They were not going to come out of their tent and confront whatever this was. But the next morning, they got up, walked around the campsite in the area, and they found large footprints that seemed to be what you would call humanoid in a way, right? So it was 5 toes, a large footprint. So that was very interesting.
And there's another story that we're trying to track down to verify from that same area, that a young lady was hiking a few miles from there with her dog. Her dog was off leash, and that she apparently saw like a Bigfoot, like a Sasquatch, and her dog lunged at it, rushed at it, followed it into the brush, and her dog never came back. Her dog is just gone. So She was kind of apparently torn between trying to go after the dog. She called for it. It never came back. She never heard anything. She didn't hear like a dog, like a whimpering or like any sort of like howling or anything like that. But her dog never came back at that point. So we're trying to get more details on that, but without having her name or anything like that, it could just be just a Bigfoot rumor, or it could be legit. But it's weird that all of a sudden we're starting to get reports from this particular area just out of the blue, almost again, like after years of it being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And Susan Crispin, who's new to our chat tonight, welcome, Susan, asked, do you think that's why they did the controlled burn? I don't know. They do controlled burns in that area fairly frequently just to kind of obviously keep down on forest fires. I don't know. I do know that we were getting some pretty decent low grade activity pretty constantly through there. And then we didn't go there for a few weeks, and we came back and we realized they had done a burn for it. And then we went back about 3-4 weeks in a row and nothing ever happened again. So we just figured that the burn had kind of driven whatever activity was there away at that point. So
yeah, a lot of times when they do these control burns, and they do them all over these national forests, it's proper forest management. They're going to do them. And that keeps, basically forest fires, like wild forest fires, at bay. So they have to do them. It's proper forest management. So it's going to happen even in these areas that are kind of remote. A lot of the areas we go to are off of like gravel forestry roads that you can barely access most times of the year, that are not really maintained. So the controlled burns will usually be lower in elevation. They'll be in like the more populated areas, or the areas where people are actually hunting and going out and about. This area that we went into, it's off of the road, but it's not super, super high up. It's actually as the crow flies. I know some of you maybe have been following what we did with the shapeshifter incident that we investigated week before last, but we talked about that last week on the live stream. As the crow flies, this place that we investigated this past week was only a few miles north of that area where the shapeshifter report actually happened. And there's another weird paranormal kind of thing that's going on in that area. The old women.
Yeah, and we'll get a little bit more information on that. But people are either seeing older feral people, or they're seeing ghosts of some sort through there. So there's another researcher that's kind of working on that, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but if he gives us the go ahead, we'll talk about it a little bit more. Not today, Spawn. We hadn't seen you at first. How are you? What kind of boots are you guys rocking through all the hiking? We are actually wearing like 511 AT boots at this point. We look like little matching twins because we both got the exact same pairs of boots. But
I just got the mini version.
Yeah. It's just that, and especially in those areas, it's easy to twist an ankle. These have a little bit more height, like ankle support. They basically look like standard like tack boots, but they're just a lot more comfortable. That way they support your ankle a bit more.
What's funny is when it comes to our okay, I'll let you do that. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to follow up on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's funny is when it comes to like our gear, like if you guys have any questions about gear, you are more than welcome to ask us, because we have pretty much tried everything at this point, and we have gone through and refined our kit so many times and evolved our kit so many times that's almost come full circle in a way. When we first started hiking and first started going out in the woods, this is before Hellbent Holler. This is before we even started filming anything or legend tripping or anything like that. When we first started hiking, when we moved back up to the Southern Appalachian region, we were in basically tack boots, right?
Yeah.
We had like tack backpacks and tack boots out in the woods, and we were hiking in them, but they weren't the best. And then we kind of went to more of a hiking boot thing, Merrells, Oboes. I was using Keens for a while. And then now we've kind of evolved back to using tack boots, but we use 511 all-terrain tack boots. So it's a higher end of a tack boot. They are waterproof and they are excellent. I have 2 pairs of the black. I wear one to work and I wear one to my day-to-day. But the brown ones that are waterproof, we both wear those out in the woods, and they're absolutely comfortable and they are excellent. So if you are interested in a great boot that is great for all purpose, hiking, everything, those boots are great. And I am not paid by 511.
Wish we were at this point. Anyway, our buddy Encrypted Connections meant to message you yesterday after I was at the property to ask. Encrypted Connections has got a very active property that he's in the process of looking into, asking if we'd ever had aches in our bones, massive headaches, and extreme lethargy during any of our investigations. And yes, we have. We've had it separately. We've had it together. Sometimes you have stuff like after, like the next day, but yes, on a few occasions we have been out. And the bone ache, I know exactly what you're talking about, because the bone ache we've had in like that weird evil spot in North Georgia sometimes, where it just feels like I don't know. I'm assuming that's like maybe how arthritis feels. I don't know. But I mean, just this dull throbbing thing, especially in your joints, but you feel it in like your long bones too. It's weird. It's like your freaking skeleton hurts, man, you know? But yeah, we've experienced that before. So I'm interested to see what you have ran into out there. So, all right, let's see.
Arcane Discoveries 423 says, why is it fishermen have more aggressive encounters, it seems like, most of the time?
I think that, I don't know, because I mean, you could go to a lot of different things. Like they're maybe not usually visibly armed like hunters are. They are.
I would say also that when you're fishing, you're pretty quiet when you're doing it, because it seems to be a solitary activity.
You're in water, which might, cover up your sound, might even cover up your scent to a certain extent. So
it might be these things are crossing paths with fishermen, and it was kind of like an unexpected thing. Like if you have people hiking through the woods, they're making noise. They're leaving traces of themselves. They're doing all that. So maybe whatever these creatures are, they are sensing that those people in their environment. But if somebody is just in waders in the middle of the river, quietly fly fishing, that's, maybe it's just surprising to them. I don't know. Maybe they run across them and they didn't realize they were there.
And into the ex-wife comments. Right. And there we go. Not a Hellbent Hollow stream unless we've got people dogging on their ex-wives. So let's see what else we got.
Encrypted Connection said that the boning felt like they're creaking and throbbing. Also, getting old will do that.
Yeah, it feels like almost like your skeleton hurts, man. It's kind of funny, but it's the best way to describe it sometimes. And it's weird because that property that we live streamed from, that the gentleman's having all the activity, and it was quiet for a couple of days after we were there, and then it's just come back with like a passion. I haven't even shown you some of the stuff that he sent me today. But, and it's weird because everybody seems focused on those like black triangles that we saw on the treetop. That's the most interesting part of all of this to a lot of people. Well, that's kind of ramped up from the looks of it.
Yeah.
Okay? So when we were down there, he told us that whatever was there had a negative effect on people, and that everybody who's come to that property has had a negative effect afterwards. And we were sick after that, like nosebleeds. We were sick for
a couple of days
and everything like that. Now, again, it could have just been just sheer coincidence. You can't rule that out, but it's going to be interesting to see that if and when we go back there, if that's duplicated again.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, it's just other areas we never really, what's weird is that I can't recall. Have we ever had that happen in the LBL before?
No.
I can't recall ever having.
And we probably should have been sick because we were getting rained on.
Yeah, but I mean, we've never had that like weird kind of just like affected feeling. Well, we've had it in North Georgia. We've had it in Tennessee. We've had it in North Carolina. We've had it here. But I just can't recall ever having that in the LBL for some reason.
And I'm trying not to look into every little ache and pain as a result of us investigating paranormal entities. But you and I had a weird thing too, where we both had like spots on our head where it felt like we got our
we felt
like we got like hit with something. Like I had a sore, like
we both had like red marks on our heads, and we were asking each other, did we like bump our heads at anything? Because I just noticed mine first, and she's like, no, you're fine. It's just a little wound. And I'm like, yeah, it's a little wound. How the hell did I get it? And then like a couple hours later, she was just like, did I hit my head? And she had like a red knot coming up on her head at that point. I'll tell you, the first thing that went through my mind is that Skinwalker Ranch stuff. That dude had to go to the hospital. He had like some
because he got kind of like the thing beamed in and gave him a tumor. Right?
Yeah, it was serious stuff. So Richard Cox had to just jump back here real quick. Dead fish give off a loud smell. It might be that. It might be that they're not scenting the person, but they're scenting the fish that are being caught. I don't know.
Drew mentioned competitive food source.
Oops, I'm sorry. Click back on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Drew mentioned competitive food source. That's a good point, that maybe they see these people as competition for their food source. But you know, and I guess hunters also have pretty intense encounters.
There's a handful of really interesting encounters out there where people, and there was a Dogman one not too long ago that interested me when it came out, and just like other stuff, it just kind of gets pushed by the wayside. But the hunter was talking about how he had just shot a deer and he was walking up towards it to collect it, and a werewolf stepped out of the tree line, and just gave him this look. And the guy's going, it was weird because, you know, that's the one thing about like Dogman as opposed to Sasquatch. Dogman seems to be able to convey fairly complex messages non-verbally a lot of times. You heard it with Linda Godfrey when she would talk about how witnesses would go, I had the feeling that it was telling me that it was so superior to me that it could take me whenever it wanted to. It wasn't going to right now, but not to get too comfortable because it could always come back. And I'm going, that's a pretty damn complex feeling to get, you know. And this guy said he got a feeling that the thing was telling him, thanks for taking this down for me. I'm going to just take this now and go. You go your way and I'll go my way, and we won't have any problem here. And the guy just went, you know, and they were like, did you think about shooting it? And he goes, not in the slightest. That never entered my mind to shoot it.
I think he was probably thankful to just be given the opportunity to back out of the situation.
He said he didn't even really get like a feeling of like evil or malice, but he said he felt like it could go that way at any moment. But he was just being told, I appreciate it. I'm taking this and going. You go your way, you go, I'll go mine, and we won't have any problems here. What the flock? Give that like button a roundhouse, y'all. So
to a Dalton style.
Yeah, our friend Abnormal Investigations is in tonight. We got Deuster, Martin Groves, Sam Burton, Sugar Britches, Kim Drescher.
Arcane Discoveries 423 says, what do y'all think about the new Small Town Monsters documentary coming out? So far, from what I can tell from the trailers, seems like it's going to be great.
You're talking about the Texas Dogman Triangle?
Dogman Triangle. So Shannon LeGros, I think, was like basically the host of the documentary. She always does a great job when she does stuff like that. And I believe the whole thing is based off of Aaron Deese's book that just came out through Small Town Monster Publishing. We contributed to a few parts of that book.
I think we're in it like 4 times.
Yeah, I think we're in the book about 4 times. We contributed a lot of stuff to that book. So, Aaron did a great job with that. So we are going to watch the documentary. We're looking forward to checking that out. But yeah, we are definitely looking forward to checking that out. I think it comes out tonight or tomorrow.
I think it's out today. So
So we'll definitely check that out. We tend to watch all of their movies that they put out. So we'll definitely give that a watch.
Boy, Steven Taylor's in here.
My boy, Steven
Taylor. Anyway. Yeah, man. Richard Cox got 170 watching. Can we get 170 likes? Damn, I forgot what I was going to say. It was on the tip of my tongue. Dogman stealing a deer.
I'm going to talk about ticks, if that's okay.
I got nothing. Go ahead.
I'm going to go into the tick segment.
The tick segment of the show. I meant to hide that. I'm sorry.
Clicking stuff. So. Encrypted Connection says, I would think lime too burning. I load up on tick repellent and bug spray, and I take a shower the minute I get home. I haven't had a tick on me since using the new tick repellent.
Which tick repellent?
We would like to know which one you
tick repellent you're using first.
Generally, Joe and I know that you guys come here for the cryptid talk and the banter.
We're talking ticks tonight, man.
We're talking ticks.
TikTok.
That's our new app. TikTok with Joe and Jesse. But we do like to talk gear as well because we are very gear centric and gear heavy. I know we talked about boots earlier, but Joe and I use Sawyer. We use the Deet Sawyer, and then we use Jungle Juice sometimes. We kind of use a variety of them because after we went to the Dogman conference last summer, and we went to the LBL after and did a night investigation and then did a day investigation the next day, and we got covered in hundreds of ticks. We had to use a lint roller to get all the ticks off of our clothes and off of us. It was horrific. It was scarring. So now every time we go out in the woods, we cover ourselves in 3 different types of insect repellent. So that might be where the brain tumors are coming from.
Yeah, that might be where the brain swelling's coming along.
That's the brain swelling. Maybe we are the ticks all along. But yeah, so if you tell us what kind of tick spray that is and it works, I'd like to know. Always looking for that.
All right.
I have a Land Between the Lakes tick key too. That's a great little invention. TikTok. And that's been my TikTok. Thank you for coming to my TikTok.
No one you know has got a good, thought-provoking point here. I think competition for food is the most likely reason for more threatening experiences. But I guess where I'm at, and the one thing that's always like kind of baffled me about this is that these things obviously have no problem feeding themselves, whether they're here permanently or whether they're just dipping their toe into this reality for a while and grabbing a munch. And we've heard some crazy hunting stories. My boy Denim Devil telling us the story that we've talked about here before about overhearing a couple of hunters talking about seeing what sound like two tall, skinny Sasquatch with like deer skulls tied around their heads, hunting from spider holes. That one's chasing it, and then all of a sudden another one comes out like a damn, what is that, a trapdoor spider or a wolf spider that does that, and grabs it, and then he's going, I think that's why you don't find evidence of their hunting or even their bodies, because I think all of that's buried. But it's obvious that these things don't have trouble catching food. I mean, if you look at the physical gifts that are usually ascribed to them, that are deer so hard to come by? Like, especially like in our neck of the woods, they're not.
Well, it might be
you would
easier.
have to have a confrontation with an armed human in order to do that, or a human at all. So that just doesn't sound like behavior of something that's wanting to stay hidden.
Yeah.
But if something's wanting to stay hidden, let him do that. I can catch 10 deer in the amount of time that this guy catches one. So it just doesn't make sense. It's almost like, if anything, it sounds almost like a-hole behavior. Like, I could catch my own, but I want yours. You know what I'm saying? So like some sort of like threat dominance going on at that point.
Dog man's a dick ball.
Yeah, dog man's a dick ball. So, all right. There we go. TikTok and dog man's a dick ball. So.
Tick check. Tick check. Hey, there is nothing more humbling than after you get back from hiking all day and it's late at night and you've got to tick check your partner.
Check me for ticks.
That's
check under the cheeks.
That's love is what that is.
Mike A wants to know, hello Mike A, new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Are you guys afraid of Dogman? How do you overcome the fear of seeing one of these face to face? We've never seen one face to face. We saw on a thermal camera from a few yards away what appeared to be a dogman, or something that resembled the description of a dogman watching us from a ravine, but that was a lot different than having like a face-to-face encounter. Now we've seen 3 times now, Jesse twice and me once, something in the LBL fairly close and blatantly there in the daylight. I still don't think that's a dogman or anything related to a dogman. Just because it doesn't have canine features. Else. That's flat out terrifying. Jesse saw one and it really had an effect on her. I saw another one, and after I got off my momentary shock, I went running after it. And then Jesse saw the third one, or saw one of them a third time.
After we found that second tent.
Yeah, and she literally just didn't collapse, but she just basically squatted and sat down and got really emotional. It was just something about it just gave a very overwhelming wave of emotion. But I don't think that's a dog man. So we try to mentally and physically prepare as much as possible in case that ever happens. And there's been a couple of times where we've looked at each other and gone, this might be the night. We might end up having like a face-to-face encounter with something.
We definitely had that experience we were actually in North Carolina. It was in the same it was in an area that's very similar to the North Georgia area, but it's kind of an old forestry road, the one that's overgrown now that we really can't access.
Yep.
We came around that corner. We came around a corner on an old logging road, and we found what looked to be a Sasquatch footprint. It was still filling in with the water, and we were like, oh my God, like it was just shocking. And Joe turned to me and goes, I think you need to prepare yourself. We might actually
turn a corner and come face
to face with one, which, sometimes you're out there and you kind of try to keep a level head about everything, and you try to rationalize everything as much as possible. But when you're faced with the possibility that you're going to come around a corner and there it is, and you have to make a decision on what to do, I don't think there is a way you can prepare for
I don't think
that.
there's a way you can prepare for it either. And I think that even people that have had those face-to-face encounters would still feel that same shock if it happened to them more than once. The best thing to do is just try to prepare yourself as mentally as possible. And who knows? I mean, we might end up having a night where a lot of this stuff's not natural, I mean, a lot of this stuff's not normal. It's not even like you're a dog catcher and you're catching like mean dogs all day, every day, and you got your little tips and your tricks. At the end of the day, these things give just this, you were talking about bone aching earlier, but just this fear that just goes down to your bones. That's one of the things that you hear people talk about, that just this instant stress inducing fear that these things seem to be able to generate above and beyond what you would expect from just their pretty fearsome like appearance at that point. So there might, and now especially, again, if you listen to us long enough, you know that we think that if all of these different phenomena aren't tied together, they share a hell of a lot of similarities in the factors that they bring along with them. And people will talk about that they'll see UFOs or strange phenomena, and they just have that feeling of like, I'm here, but I'm not here,
This
Like,
can't be happening.
yeah. And then afterwards they're going, why didn't I do this? And it's just because you have that feeling of like, I'm not really here. You're there, you're witnessing it, but you just step outside your body. And I think that is that shock induced? I think that might be.
Yeah,
to a certain
absolutely.
extent,
I mean,
think
even when you come across something like, say you come across a bear in the woods, I mean, you are going to have that adrenaline rush. You're going to have that kick to the stomach. You're going to be terrified, but that's something that you absolutely know for sure exists. It should be here. It makes sense. It's here. It's scary. It's terrifying. However, you see something like a dog man or a Sasquatch that kind of, I see you would just short circuit.
Yeah.
I could see how a lot of people would just short circuit altogether because this is something that is not supposed to exist.
Arcane Discoveries, there's a story from a reservation in North Carolina about 2 hunters that shoot a deer. A Bigfoot comes out and basically rips it in half, takes half and leaves the other half there. I remember hearing about that. Almost like, listen, I'm not going to be like a major dick here. I'm going to just take half. This is my due. Okay. You guys take this half and go at that point. So
like a tax.
Yeah. Like the deer tax, the Bigfoot deer
tax.
tax. Yes. So. All right.
Make sure you guys hit that like button if you're in here and you're
even if you don't like it, just hit it anyway.
Even if you don't like it, hit it anyway.
I don't even know what this comment is. I got ticks, Greg. Can you milk me? What is that even reference to?
It's a reference to Meet the Parents.
No clue. Is that a movie?
Yes,
I've never seen it. So our buddy Bart Nunley's out there. He knows very well the vicious ticks of the land between the lakes. So.
Finding the Trackway says, if you find yourself saying this isn't happening, that's when you know something is happening.
Yeah, and we've had minor, when we saw that light that night, we were both just like, what the hell's going on? Just because no matter how much you do this stuff, you still have those moments of going, I was not prepared for this.
You're never prepared for it.
And so then you go to this. So then you have somebody who's not into this stuff to the level that we are, or the level that the people in the chat are. And you have somebody who's just like an average, ordinary person, and they're not weirdos like we are. And something like that happens. How are they supposed to react?
Yeah.
So then somebody goes, well, why don't you have 4K video footage to back up what you experienced? We have stuff happen upon occasion. We've got cameras out and ready, and we miss it because it happens so quick. Or you just have that moment of, all right, man, I was mentally prepared for this, and we've experienced X before, but now we're experiencing Y, and it takes a minute to kind of reset. A lot of this stuff is outside the boundaries of normal human existence and experience and understanding. So you kind of have to like reset everything, man. It's like you're
going into vapor lock.
Yeah, you're encountering novel situations that you have not encountered before. That even if you know the phenomenon is real and you've experienced other stuff, you still have that moment of just your mind going, all right, I got to reset yet again. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't prepared for this. So, all right. TCR 44. Haven't seen you for a while. Wants to know your favorite Ghost album, Jesse. What is your favorite Ghost album? What is Imperia? Is that one that you?
Imperium is good. Yeah, Imperia is good. Probably Infinitesimum.
Infinitesimum. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got to get here. So.
Prequel's good too. It's hard to say.
Arcane's got another one. Have y'all heard of the Janice Carter stories with Bigfoot from here? I'm not familiar with those. Are you familiar with those at all?
I am not. No.
I'm not familiar with those. So Stephen Taylor comes through with $10 for half a can of tick repellent. One of us will be safe. The other one's just going to have to die. So thank you for that, buddy. We appreciate that.
That's us.
And we got your email for that movie. He sent us an email. I don't know if you had a chance to see it.
I've not.
A movie called Hellbender. He's like, you need to watch it. It's on Shudder. So I was like, what sort of movie is this? Obviously, it's a horror movie. Is it like a slasher? Is it like a haunting, or what is it? So
we will watch that. We need like a Friday night movie to kind of decompress.
We appreciate that, Stephen. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Cryptid Connections got a good one, even for people like us whose whole passion is and goal is to learn more about them. Seeing one in person it's going to be a massive shock. And again, we saw that Dogman thing that night. We've seen things on the cameras or the thermals before. I saw that woman outside the graveyard in LBL, which was still and that just like literally was just such a wave of emotions. I've talked about that before. When we were gearing up next to the cemetery that you always hear referenced in the 82 Dogman massacre, the attack there, we noticed that in the cemetery, somebody had been basically just using the cemetery as an open latrine. So we like took the water we had and everything like that, tried to clean it up as best we could, but it was still a freaking mess. So I'm like scanning around. I look over my shoulder and there's just this woman there that's just all gray. She's all gray and she just looks like furious, like she wants to kill me. And I just have this moment of going, and it makes no sense. I mean, why would somebody being dressed like that out in the LBL at night visiting a cemetery? But my instant response was, oh my God, she's here to visit a deceased family member in the cemetery, and she sees that it's all messed up. We're the only people out here. She's assuming it's us. But I mean, I thought that in like a split second. And then she's gone. And then I'm just going, you just have this moment of like, all right, I just had too many thoughts go through my mind at once, all of them unfamiliar. I went from thinking it's a ticked off family member to all of a sudden, where's she at? She was just there, to then just going, your brain just tries to reset, man. It's just, it's weird. So, all right.
Gunpowder Owl says that's the perfect example of taxation, simply being theft from those weaker than
Exactly
you.
Right. It's the deer tax. So yeah.
Did you ever? I know you don't do a lot of just ancillary Instagram, but there's this thing called the cheese tax with dogs. Okay, so there people
you have to
make these videos of these dogs and the cheese tax. So it's funny. It's cute animal videos. Sometimes I need those.
Cute animal humor.
Sometimes I need those. Whiskey with Cryptid says, crazy, I know, but I've been seeing a lot of three-legged deer around my areas. Could be near a highway, or it could
maybe it's the Bigfoot tax. You can get out of here with 3 of those legs, but I'm taking one from me at that point. So
yeah.
What was that? J&J, deepest apologies for the other day. I forgot to ask you guys, what would you do, or how do you see it playing out if you guys captured absolute evidence, perhaps even finding cryptid remains? Thank you guys. First off, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That is, at this point, I think that video and audio evidence is not going to be convincing from this point on.
Correct.
Just because of AI stuff. I think that AI has just taken us to the point where that's why we're talking about, like, if we do capture anything, it's important that we capture it in context, that you see maybe even like one of us in the frame with whatever we're getting at that
also
point.
Multiple cameras
Camera
would be
angles.
great.
And it's difficult because when we went out this weekend, we only had one daytime camera, one nighttime camera, and that made like video review so much easier. And it was really crucial for the terrain we were going through. But at the same token, we're going to need 2 camera angles to kind of maybe show something going forward. As far as cryptid remains go, that is something that we've given a lot of thought to. And at one point there was at least for Bigfoot, there was a circle of people all across the country who were getting a game plan on what to do with that.
Send it to the lab.
Yeah, send it to the lab that everybody apparently has access to except for us. Send it to the lab.
I do think, you remember that people will talk about, oh, I sent this sample and it disappeared.
Yeah.
Cut your sample up. Don't send all your sample. Just send part of your sample.
So there was a burgeoning plan, and I guess it had its merits, it had its faults, you know what I'm saying? But it just, like anything else with Bigfoot, the more people you put into it, the less it's going to happen.
Right.
So it never really got off the ground. I've always thought, let's use this in context of like Bigfoot, okay? We just freaking plug one. We plug it. But it's like not even like where we're deep in the woods. Let's say one night in some rural area, what did you say that time? It was digging around its trash can for cheese rinds? It's digging for somebody's cheese rinds, and some homeowner comes out, and he's got enough firepower, and it's a lucky enough shot, or whatever reason, he just takes it down like that. Takes it down like just bam, there. It's dead as hell, laying there stretched out. Streetlights over there. The neighbors come out and look at it. What do you got? I don't know. I just shot this. Oh my God, that's a Bigfoot. Somebody call the news. Hey, news, there's a Bigfoot down here. They ain't rushing nobody out because they're going to assume it's crazy. But let's say you've shot a Bigfoot. People are taking photos of it with their cameras. The neighbors are seeing it, everything like that. If there's a cover-up going on that has the power of the government behind it, even that ain't too hard to cover up, okay? They could just as easily swoop in. You know, you got the black SUV, swoop in. Sir, we're placing you under arrest. All of you neighbors, we need to take you into here. Why? You're accessory to a crime. They get everybody away from it. They take your Bigfoot body, throw it in the back of a truck, pull out a dead gorilla, like a dead, just silverback gorilla, lay it down right there. I don't understand. What am I in trouble for? Well, there was a silverback gorilla that escaped from a nearby wildlife preserve, and you killed it. So you've killed an endangered species. You're in a lot of trouble, sir. I didn't shoot a silverback gorilla. I shot a Bigfoot. I swear to God, I shot a Bigfoot. Nope. They take him back out, and the guy's going, that's not what I shot. And then now all of a sudden, all they've got to do is go, the homeowner was very traumatized by what happened. We think that he's remembering the situation, or he's embellishing, whatever reason. And then people would go, well, I saw it too. Well, you know, in the heat of the moment, you know, he already planted the seed in your head.
Then it would get on the internet, and then you would have animal rights.
Here's my photo of it. That's just AI.
But you'd have like animal rights groups attacking you because you're a gorilla murderer.
Yeah, you're a gorilla murderer. And at that point, anything that came out, people would go, that's already been debunked. That guy shot a silverback gorilla. Well, what about this photo? AI. So I think we're swiftly approaching the point, we're already there, that you would need a great deal of creativity and luck in order to get it into the hands. And then everybody's always like this, you know, send it to Jeff Meldrum. I don't know Jeff Meldrum. Do you know Jeff Meldrum?
Not personally.
I don't know Jeff Meldrum at all. I mean, and who knows? Jeff Meldrum's at the end of the day just a man. Jeff Meldrum could get a friggin' like a foot severed at the knee, Bigfoot foot severed at the knee. There it is, bam.
Well, he would be the one to send the foot to. Let's be honest.
Here's the deal, though. But where's it going to go to at that
guy.
time? Where's it going to go to after that? How do you know that? At this point, you don't know who to trust. You don't know what's real. How do you know that somebody's not going to apply pressure to him and that foot's just going to disappear?
You think Meldrum can be bought off for the foot?
I think Meldrum could be. What's the foot price, Meldrum?
Who can you trust?
But
you can't trust the foot guy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think at this point that if we ever got physical evidence, I don't think hairs are going to move the needle anywhere, because hairs have been pulled in and they have been inconclusive as to what they've come from. And that's an interesting story. And then people just move on. I don't know how many times I've heard people talk about, well, you know, they had the hair tested and it was inconclusive, or it was a unknown primate. And then it's just, bam, it's just memory hold. You don't hear anything else about it. But I mean, if you caught like either part of a body, or if you had a full body or whatever like that, I don't know, man. I'm almost to the point now where it's like, the people who don't want to believe, there's no amount of evidence in the world that's going to make people believe, who have already made up their minds, you know, until they've had their own like experience at that point.
Lady Wolf says, Joe, never send all your samples to a person with a foot fetish. That's rule number one. I mean, that's you right out the gate when you go to Bigfoot hunting school. That's what they
Yeah.
first say.
Somebody wants to see your ring, I think.
Oh, ring check, Jesse. There's my ring. So it's got the band is actually molded out of, it's like molded after bat bones. So as you can assume, that would be the ring I would have. So it's got a giant stone, and the band is molded out of bat bones. So I never wear it outside of going like out to eat or at the house because I'm so rough on everything. I can't even get my nails done because I'm in the woods all the time. But I do wear it when I can. So that is my ring.
All right. Mike A. Anyone have an opinion on the lizard man from South Carolina? Reptilian or misidentified Sasquatch? I've mentioned this before, but we had a gentleman we were talking to from around that skateboard swamp area. And it was just trading a few messages with him on social media. And I can't even remember why we were talking to him in the first place. But we said, hey, we're thinking about coming down there when it's a little cooler and investigating like lizard man. And he goes, nope, let me save you the trip. My uncles were in on the hoax. This was all hoax. That's all it is. It's just my uncles did it. It's funny. It's like a family joke around here. We hoaxed it. Nothing to see here. And I'm like, hey, you're just some dude on the internet. I'm not going to take your word for anything. You know what I'm saying? So, but I thought it was interesting. However, then after we talked to him a little bit more, I was either buying or selling a knife to him. And then he found out we had the paranormal thing going on. And that's how we talked about it. As the conversation went on over the course of a few days and everything like that, then all of a sudden his story changed where he claimed that it wasn't a hoax, but that's what people told other people because they didn't want that area to be overran with amateur monster hunters at this point. Now, since then they've embraced it a little bit. Like they have a festival down there and everything.
Yeah.
So
there's a
opinions
restaurant
changed on
that
it, so.
is lizard man themed as well. And I believe it's like a cotton museum.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a cotton museum in the town there. They have what is supposed to be like an imprint of the footprint of it. So.
April Black said she had a conversation, kept asking where are the bodies. And you know what? Here's the deal. That's a legit question. I think the Bigfoot world especially is poorly served by not coming out and admitting that a lot of these skeptics' questions don't have some merit to them. Where are their bodies? And I hear everything from like they bury their dead. They never missed one. And again, I know that we're in the area now of it being covered up and any of the photographic evidence being dismissed as AI.
Yeah.
We're just now getting to that area. What about the past several decades? Where's that one body at? Will they bury their dead? All right, well, where's that one that was just kind of a loner that went out by itself and got sick and died and there weren't any of its fellow Sasquatch around to bury it? Where's that one at? Where's the risk taker? Where's the rebel at? Where's the one that doesn't like following the orders? When you get down to it, it's almost like hive mind insect behavior than primate behavior. They're all in lockstep. Nobody ever makes a mistake. Nobody ever breaks the rules. Nobody ever does anything. So that question about where are the bodies at, if you're trying to explain this away as just an undiscovered monkey in the woods, that's a damn good question. Where are the bodies at? Well, you don't ever find bear skeletons in the woods. Bullshit. People find bear skeletons in the woods all the time. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the type of forest you're in, they might be broken down quicker than others, but people have come across bear bones in the woods before.
And then you could always say maybe they bury their dead, but you would have there has to be an outlier that would be like alone. That would be
where's the outlier? Well, statistically, where's an outlier? Mountain lions are stealthy and quick as hell, and there ain't that many of them. There's not a very big population density, but yet they still get hit by cars occasionally.
Yeah.
Where's the one, again, where's that one that, again, everybody's like the forest people. Well, if they're people, then where's the variation in personality types at? Some of them are friendly. Some of them are mean. All right, where are the dumb ones at? Where are the stupid ones at? Where are the ones who just miscalculated something? Okay. Where are those ones at? That's what I always ask myself. And skeptics ask that same question, and it's a damn good question.
And Paul M. even asked, the lack of bodies is a big question, especially along with the fact that no great ape species has ever lived in North America.
That we know of.
That we know
The
it. But
fossil record is getting updated
then
so constantly.
I think part of Joe's rant also, leads into this does not share a lot of characteristics with great apes. It shares some physical characteristics.
It's hairy and it is in the woods. Yeah.
It's hairy. It's in the woods. It's got a humanoid, shape to it. But, you have descriptions of the red glowing eyes, that they glow on their own, that you have, that they have some sort of telepathic ability.
And that's my favorite rant to go on.
I know
the fact that you have even people that are into the just flesh and blood ape thing will admit that some of that stuff goes on, and then they just start grasping. It's all about the science, don't you understand? And we've got to follow the science, even though with the UAP field, we're starting to realize our grasp on the physical world is maybe not as concrete as we thought it was. Okay. I'm sure not today. Saban is just freaking chiming in like a mofo right now for that. But our grasp on the physical world is really being expanded right now. And our concepts of what reality is are being expanded upon right now. And if we don't know what reality is, we can't really be trusted to know what almost hardly anything is at all. But it just kind of lost my train of thought there. Damn, what was our rant? Oh, you
just burned out like a star.
The wiring just went out, man. So I had like 8 thoughts go through my head at once, and then I just went, I don't know any. Anyway,
and you just go. Oh.
So, but what happens is that you get the thing that's always killed this topic is the fact that we want it just to be a monkey, and we want regular science to embrace it and take us seriously. That's why they don't want to talk about the weirder stuff, even though the weirder stuff happens. And when it finally gets to the point where that weirder stuff can't be denied anymore, then let's, in the interest of appealing to science, now let's commit bad science. Okay. Glowing red eyes. Well, animals have bioluminescence. Yeah, fish do, and insects do, and all this other stuff. But there's really no mammals that have glowing eyes anywhere. Okay. Just any of this stuff. And then you start getting into just any of these other attributes, the infrasound one that I've talked about ad nauseum. And it's just at the end of the day, you're breaking the rules of the animal kingdom, basically, to explain this monkey away, that this monkey is unlike anything else on the planet, but it's just a monkey. At some point you have to go, even if it's monkey-like, it's no longer a monkey. No monkey does a millionth of these damn things that is attributed to Sasquatch.
Not today, Saban says, spoken like Inigo Montoya hearing physical reality. You keep using this word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
And not today, Saban. I've been reading and listening some Hoffman, where he talks about how we are just evolved to not really, we don't see or experience reality. We experience representative icons of reality, because real reality is just too complex. And that our ancestors, if we were trying to parse through real reality, we would be dead. So it's an evolutionary thing. He uses it, the equivalent is the icons on your desktop at your computer. That trash can icon, it's not really a trash can. It's a representation of a process, and the closest approximation to us is throwing something in a trash can. But at the end of the day, it's not a trash can. And basically all of reality is like that. We're looking at a dashboard filled with icons for it. We're not looking at sheer reality. So anyway, that's my thing on that. So Deborah Stewart, thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah Stewart. That's
great
awesome.
Show all. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very, very much. So what we got last week, what we're getting this week, it's all going into a pile. We've got I hate to say that the Bigfoot stuff is almost like a regrouping period.
It is.
We're getting ready to get real weird with some of this stuff.
Yeah. So it's we need to be in the woods.
The normalcy of the mystery of Bigfoot.
The normalcy, yeah. As strange as that's strange within itself. Yeah. But yeah, it's almost like the Bigfoot. We're going to focus on Bigfoot a little bit. That's why we're going back to a couple of what we consider our Bigfoot hotspots of the past.
But when the universe takes us back
into the weird direction, we follow the direction that the universe is pushing us. So we're going to kind of hit the Bigfoot hotspots of our past a little bit, and I think kind of reset our brains a little bit. We're also working on doing some conditioning and stuff. So we're doing pretty difficult hikes every week when we do this. And we're kind of going bare equipment because what we think is coming soon is going to be a real ramp up in very weird stuff. So it's almost like
we're kind of refitting right now.
We're refitting and kind of reassessing and how we're going to approach things and how we're going to do things. And I think that's what kind of inspired us to kind of go back to our roots and kind of go back to where we started and to get ready to kind of make this pivot, because it feels like all the weird stuff is ramping up like crazy. So we're kind of taking a step back and then getting back to our roots, getting back to something simple. And then it's going to get really freaking weird.
We've got like 3 different.
We've got some equipment
things that we're planning out to try to see if we can.
Yeah.
We got to piece it together first. And but anyway, anything, we appreciate that, Deborah. Thank you. It's going towards these crazy half-baked ideas we have right now.
And we've got a very intense Dogman investigation that we're going to be doing in a couple of months that we're preparing some experiments for. So
Take 2 wheels. That Sasquatch bluff charge you experienced with Jesse seemed like a very intense moment. We still don't know what that, we called it a Sasquatch bluff charge because that behavior is always, you don't really hear about Dogman bluff charges or ghost bluff charges or anything like that. That is stereotypical, like, I mean, gorilla, like primate behavior.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And the fact that, again, we were using a little action cam pointed away from there and you could still hear it. And you saw how shook up Jesse was. And yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like I heard her scream and I drew my firearm for it and spun around and couldn't see anything there. You don't want to just start dumping bullets into the forest, you know? Oh no, I was startled by that woodchuck and you just shot it 8 times with that 10 millimeter, you know? So, but when we left out, whatever was in there paced us all the way out.
Check our connection there because there it goes.
Okay.
Unstable.
Yeah.
Our connection is reported unstable. Let us know if you guys can see us and everything looks good.
But it followed us all the way out. And then I got Jesse to the truck, put her in to get her the truck ready in case we needed to get out. We had somebody behind the wheel. And then I went back in on foot and whatever it was just stayed. I'd move forward. It would just stay forward. I'd move back. It would just come forward, but it always kept a distance and I couldn't rush forward quick enough to make any ground on it. So anyway.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
All right, we're good. Fine. So
not today, Saban. You were mentioning some stuff you were reading. Not today, Saban says, Joe, wait until you read about the Great Barrier. That'll be a hard brick to pass.
You're talking about the Great Barrier as far as like extraterrestrial civilizations, the Great Filter, or are you talking about of course, everything's just going to be Great Barrier Reef. Because I'm familiar with the Great Filter, which is a concept that civilizations, the reason why we don't run into any like extraterrestrial civilizations is because they're filtered out. Nobody makes it that far. Either they destroy themselves or there's some sort of cosmic cataclysm or what. So Kim Drescher's got a good idea. If they're truly multidimensional beings, perhaps they take their dead to that dimension that they came from. And yeah. I mean, there's some reason why these physical creatures that you can see and they reflect light and they affect their environment, but we can't find their dead and we don't really find a ton of trace of them on the environment. Creatures that big living in numbers big enough to maintain a breeding population should be leaving a really bad impression on just the environment. I kind of struggled with my words there for a second, but and you don't see that. So I don't know. That's again, I think there's a part of the puzzle that we're missing at this point. What the flock chimes in with the exact same thing. Perhaps the lack of skeletal remains is evidence of them not being flesh and blood. Assuming there are skeletal remains is assuming they're physical beings, or they're physical beings that don't really, they're not from here. When I say they're not from here, they're not from this reality or this dimension or anything like that. I think we're into just, and people are like, well, now you're explaining a mystery with an even bigger mystery. What if the bigger mystery is the answer all along? You know, I don't think that forest apes that don't leave any bodies and have all these other weird attributes is the simplest answer for any of this stuff. I think at that point, that's just as far-fetched as something interdimensional. So you're awful quiet. You got anything there?
Sorry, I'm going through the chat right now, and you know you can take the star off the ones that you read to maybe help with the process.
Come on, Grandpa. We'll
You
get
know.
you to do the.
Hey, fellow kids. Bernie Gannon says, we've been following the science for millennia. When Galileo was persecuted, it was because he didn't conform to established science at the time. Same stuff today. We are infants of understanding. Good job. You took that off there.
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Look at that.
All right. Erev's got talking about where are they underground tunnels. That's my thing, is that I don't think that like UFOs are landing and like Sasquatch are getting out of them. Okay. Which is what everybody always defaults to when you talk about them. There being some sort of connection between like UAP phenomenon and then like Sasquatch. That's not what I'm thinking. But they're coming from somewhere else, or they inhabit somewhere else, or they have the ability to stay out of sight above and beyond just hiding behind that bush. Okay. And nobody sees it. There's something there. There's something that we're missing in all of this, I think.
Somebody suggested that Sasquatch could be cannibalistic.
But again, where's the one that they miss? Again, all these things: bury the dead, hide the dead, eat the dead. Where's that one that gets missed? And where's that one? Where's that rebel? Where's that one that just chronically makes poor decisions? You're dealing with a species again now that just is so in lockstep with their like unwritten rule, the rules. Okay, you can let yourself be seen, in certain areas, but other areas you can't. You can just, where's that one that just doesn't care about the rules? I mean, you even see that with like troops of primates. You've got ones that maybe are like less social than others, or other ones that are like just stupider than others. So where's the sickly ones at? I mean, there's just not a lot of variation in like the behavior of them. They just seem like they almost seem like a hive mind at that point. What are you getting into at that point? Are you getting into like genetically modified like organisms, like biological like androids that have like a certain programming that goes beyond like natural like selection and what that's provided? So
Bernie Gannon has a good point here. I'm pretty sure people exist, but I don't regularly find human skeletons laying around in my travels.
But humanity has the numbers and the infrastructure to make sure that doesn't happen. Where's that corresponding population and
infrastructure?
And guess what? People do come across missing hikers, stuff like that all the time. That's not, but again, people have that density and the infrastructure to make sure that bodies just don't lay in the streets. If these things have that, where's that at?
It's the super portal highways, homeboy.
You're exactly right. Maybe there is an infrastructure that exists. Well, in that case, they got that much freaking weirder.
But it's outside of our realm of understanding.
Yeah. So,
guys, we promised we wouldn't get too weird. We were going back
down the rabbit hole at this point. So
going back to basics. How about that?
Back to basics.
All right, let's see.
Joe's looking for that emo Sasquatch that just wanders off to be alone.
Wizardman 13 says what you're dealing with is spiritual.
Here's the, I was listening to an old Tom DeLonge interview on Jimmy Black. Okay? And we don't really spend a lot of time listening to podcasts anymore or watching like YouTube videos or anything. But occasionally there'll be something that's out there that's of worth, that's of merit. And he was talking about, Tom DeLonge, Blink-182, and he's going, there's a reason why they kind of clued me in on all this stuff is because he goes, I was guessing right at a lot of this stuff. And I had some public stature. He doesn't come across like he's some sort of super genius. He just goes, I'm some goofy rock star that guessed right. And one of the things that in the initial conversations with some of the government folks that were giving him some of this concrete information, he was taking the tack that UFOs were more tied into consciousness and spirituality than just nuts and bolts craft. And even he goes, and I'm not talking about like this hippy dippy, type of thing. He goes, but that the nature of consciousness and the nature of what we consider spirituality, these things are very, very close to existing in like that realm, basically. And he goes, and because I believe that is why they started to give me information, because they realized that I was looking at it in the right method. Now, you can think Tom DeLonge's full of crap. You can think he's a misinformation agent, whatever. I think Tom DeLonge is kind of legit for those reasons. And I think those early interviews are really good before they got him polished up enough to speak without dropping like really cool, like little tantalizing hints. So cicadas eat the dead yardons. Cicadas eat the dead Bigfoots. So guys, hit that like button if you like our babbling just nonsense that we're throwing out here at y'all tonight. So
Susan Crispin says, so many people see them disappear into thin air. I don't think that they need to go underground.
I've talked to extremely credible people, and you've had those same conversations. I was looking at it, and then it was just gone. Those things we saw in the LBL.
Yeah.
Did they run away or did they just disappear? They were moving so fast. It's hard your mind can't, by the time your mind's processed it, they're gone. And your mind's still trying to process seeing them at the beginning, let alone where they went to.
Yeah.
And did they disappear? I mean, I've had people go, I was watching it, it took a step back and it was gone. Well, what do you mean that it went back into the brush? No, there's no brush there. It was just gone. Well, did it just instantly go away? Did it fade? Did it start disappearing from the top down? I don't know. It was just gone. So yeah, there's that. So
Susan C says, on Sasquatch Chronicles, West had the guys from Honobia shoot one and see them drag the body away. He also had other reports where some of them aren't real smart.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that seems like that would lend itself towards, if not official discovery, pretty damn good unofficial discovery with people doing it. I just don't know. Like I said, it's just, I think that now we're to the point where I just don't think it matters. I think AI is just to the point where it's just you're not gonna be able to believe anything, especially I think it's all about this. It's that when the mainstream media starts to give it credence, people start to believe it. The mainstream, everybody, all you're hearing right now with the UAP stuff are the same stories that have been bandied about for decades. UFO recovery teams, the Vatican's involved with it. We've got bodies, we've got craft, or reverse engineering stuff. They'll kill people to keep it covered up. People have been talking about that crap for decades. But because the official word is, if you believe this, that you're crazy. I mean, people are very easily led for the most part. You know what I'm saying? They just, if the mainstream, and actually it's not even mainstream nowadays. I was thinking about this before. Now there's two different avenues there's like mainstream news and then there's like the counterculture news, and if they're telling you that's a crazy idea, most people are going to fall in line and just go, yes, you're right. It's a crazy idea. Then all of a sudden New York Times comes out with an article going, UFOs are real. Here's what's going on.
And they'll change on a dime.
They'll change on a dime. Now UFOs are real. So I think short of...
I've always believed in the UFOs.
Yeah, and I think...
The New York Times said that there are the UFOs. I've always believed in this.
And it's just...
No, you haven't.
And again, I don't think that... I think that... I come back down to this. I think that... And we need to do a whole show just on this, I think. Government cover-ups, this, and this. It's because they want the power. No, because I think if there was a small cabal of people who were wanting whatever UFO magic technology you want to talk about, free energy, limitless energy, anti-gravity, anything like that, then we would have a very small ruling class on this planet that nobody could challenge at that point. Okay. They would have taken that technology and we would already basically be slaves at that point. I come back to the fact that I think that there are people in the government and in private industry, and they're not necessarily saints, but I think that they are struggling with something that's so far outside human comprehension. And I think that there's a really good chance they're just trying to do the best that they can because they know that this stuff's not good. And we haven't really been able to defend ourselves against it ever, but now we're getting to the point where we can do a little bit. And I think that's because, yeah, and I'm sure that crimes have been committed, and I'm sure they've been involved in some very unethical acts. But at the end of the day, it might have just been for the greater good, And it's a pretty grim topic, but there might be, Tom DeLonge talked about that. He talked about that there's people that are up every night. They can't sleep because they're so stressed because they understand better than we do what's out there. And they understand.
And they can't talk about it, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, now they're getting to the point where they can do something about it. Remember, he made that comment about
we're able to punch back.
We can punch back a little bit now.
Yeah.
And even the whistleblower, whose name I can never remember, Gorsuch, Grosh, what is
Grush.
it? Grush, said that there are methods that
David Michael Grush
that we can use to take them down.
The old whistleblower.
Well, the whistleblower. The whistleblower. The damn it. Anyway, but that we can methodologies that we can use to take them down. And what if that's the thing all along? What if they go, yes, there's been a cover up and people have died and people have had their lives ruined. This is why, guys. These are the stakes that we're playing for here.
But
the universe is a weird place.
You can't get the populace as a whole to agree on anything.
Well,
so even if you gave them this information of
I don't think
for your own good, or it's
because they're not going to take it.
We've had good intentions this whole time, even though some of our means have been less than admirable. You're still not going to get everybody on board, so they have to conceal it as much as possible.
And guess what? That might be the right decision. It might be the fact that that's why Sasquatch has been not officially acknowledged, because maybe, just maybe, the reality of it is too much for most people, and it's something you don't want to know. Mm-hmm. Let's take it to its furthest extreme. Here's what's up, guys. There are these 8-foot tall, hairy somethings. We don't know what they are. They're not apes. We don't think they're in the fossil record. They might be upright and have opposable thumbs, but they're not related to us. We don't know where they come from. They're in the woods. Sometimes people see them and everything's okay, but people go missing and they've been killed, and it's these things. We don't know where they come from. We don't know how to stop them. A lot of times our weaponry is not effective to handle them anymore. Well, great. Maybe just people would stop going into the woods. Well, what if that just forced the creatures into civilization at that point? Maybe there's stuff out there that it's just the truth itself is a lot weirder than anything that we've come up with so far. It's just amateur enthusiasts for these topics. So,
Warscribe, thank you for that.
Warscribe,
we appreciate it very much. For someone that is looking at getting into exploring high strangeness, as you both do, where should one look to research locations to start? So we have kind of an unconventional way of finding locations to look into. We have a couple of different methods for finding locations. You can look at current reports of activity on the conventional places like Sasquatch reports. There's a couple of different sources online for those reports. There's also places where you can go for Dogman reports as well. And you can kind of go to those areas that are close to you where these reports are put out. We also look at very unconventional places like fly fishing forums, rock climbing forums. We have even found small tips in the comment sections and local newspapers websites where people just make mention of these things and it's seeing these things. So we'll kind of use those as data points to go off of to find locations to look at these things. We've actually had luck with finding areas that are completely remote, that are far away from everything, very, very remote, sometimes even on the dark skies maps, and we'll go out there and go deep into the woods and just see what happens. We've done that several times on occasion.
Sometimes nothing happens. Other times it's a freak show. So
I think the most important thing you can do is get some ground time. Really go out there and just start looking. You can find some reports. That's a good thing to start with. It's a good thing to go off of, because then there's a history of sightings in the area you're going for, and it's not just a shot in the dark. But sometimes it's okay to just do a shot in the dark. I think that's how we found that main North Georgia area that we were finding all kinds of occult activity. It was kind of, we were in an area where there was a report, the activity died down that we were recording, we were getting. So we moved further north into an area where we didn't really know a lot about. We just went into it. And then we subsequently did the research on the area and found a lot of crazy stuff about it and actually gathered a ton of our own crazy evidence, as you guys have seen in a lot of our videos in that North Georgia area.
And I think that you need to look for cross-spectrum weirdness. Don't just look for Bigfoot reports. Don't just look for Dogman reports. Don't just look for UFO reports.
Be open to whatever presents itself to you.
Look at areas that had a certain significance to Native Americans at that point, because again, it's weird. We always talk about how it's weird how modern people treat the Native Americans that were here before European settlers landed. On one hand, there are these wise, spiritual people that are very in touch with the land and they're almost holy. But then on the other hand, they're so stupid that the stuff that they're telling you about never existed. They're primitives. Don't worry about them. I think that a lot of the stuff that when you dial down into it, Cherokee Little People were areas that have a significant history of Cherokee Little People in our area. We find evidence of little things that's where we saw that, whatever that was, going from tree to tree. We find little footprints up there. So we look at areas that have significance in Native folklore, and now are there corresponding modern reports as well. Jesse mentioned the Dark Skies map. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, that's a map that shows you light pollution all over the country and what the darkest parts of the country are at night. John Keel was looking at this more from a UFO standpoint with some associated weirdness, Men in Black, Mothman, and all that. But he talked about how the phenomenon as a whole, just all weird stuff, seemed to be drawn to more rural areas in the middle of the night. Like it wanted to be seen, but it didn't want to be seen by that many people. Okay. Like it wants to just give tantalizing little hints. So find areas that are remote. I know that people will sometimes be at a KOA campground and have a Sasquatch sighting, but that's not the rule of thumb. And think how many people were at the KOA and didn't have a Sasquatch sighting. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, the odds are very, very low at that point. So for us, it's a remote area where there's really not a lot of people around at. Go in a small group. Don't go alone, but go with, I mean, we'd love to have more sets of hands sometimes, but the more people we take with us, the less activity we experience. So look for those Native American legends that seem to be reflected in modern day sightings. Don't go onto Facebook Bigfoot groups and have that be your only sole source. Start going to those areas of the net where people don't spend all their time talking about this, but they're outdoors a lot. And if you're getting some fishermen who are willing to put up the ridicule of their peers to tell these stories on their forum, odds are it happened. So
Mike A had a good suggestion here. The All Trails app comment section.
That's a very good one. Yeah, we've used that
That's,
before. Yeah,
that is a great suggestion. What the Flock says, every encounter.
We need like a bell that every time one of us goes, what the Flock says.
My can's full. It's not going to ring. Sorry. What the Flock says, every encounter I've had, I wasn't looking to have. I say act natural and let them come to you. That's why we like to take a kinetic approach with what we do is we hike and move through the woods. If we every time we have tried to set up and we have all this gear set up and we have all this stuff out and we try to like sit there on a ridge line and try to look out for them, we've really not had a lot of success with that because that's very odd behavior. That's really odd behavior to go out there and have all of this stuff set out and just sit there and like look around, you know. It's just odd behavior, I guess. But when we have all of our gear on our backs and we're hiking through the woods, it seems like we stir stuff up and it seems like things are kind of interested in what we're doing and things tend to follow or
but a lot of people
trail along.
A lot of people don't do that. And you know why? Because it sucks.
It does suck.
It sucks a lot.
It does.
When we were out this weekend, I mean, we did like 10 miles and half of it was at night on really rough really rough terrain. And we're trying to like only use like red lights and it's difficult, but it's out of the ordinary behavior. If you have 20 people around a campsite and you've got tents up and chairs and you're cooking and you're whooping and beating on the tree with bats and everything like that, you might have something come look at you, but you're not really going to draw in, I think, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So
Kim Drescher says, the interesting thing is that if you start looking at the UFO phenomenon, it takes you to other types of activity and eventually to cryptids. That's how it worked for me. It's circular. You know, there's always kind of a high strangeness gateway drug that people get into. Most of the time it's Bigfoot.
That's how ours was. And then now look at us. We took the exact opposite from Kim. We started out with Bigfoot and now we're into UFOs.
I never really cared about UFOs. I never really had an interest in UFOs, aliens. I used to be like, I freaking hate aliens. The only thing I really hate when it comes to cryptids, the thing that I really freaking hate, do you know what it is?
What's that?
The Loch Ness Monster.
I don't like sea stuff.
I hate the Loch Ness monster.
I mean, like,
The
personally, you got
Loch
a
Ness
personal-
monster can kiss my ass at this
You
point.
heard it here first.
You heard it here, folks. I F the Loch Ness monster, okay?
F the Loch F the Loch Ness monster.
I'll drain that lake. I don't give a crap. But no, but I wasn't interested in it. But somehow my interest in this other stuff has just catapulted me into this now. So
Matt Keenan, our boy Matt Keenan, people believe in astral projection, where they can push out their consciousness to travel to other realms of different frequency. Who can say that Sasquatch isn't doing the same? Sasquatch are basically astrally projecting from their lands and like showing up here. It's actually not a bad. Damn.
the
look at that.
CIA has been studying astral projection in a serious manner.
You
for
think
a
there's a
long time.
Sasquatch CIA out there somewhere in the cosmos, and that's who we're getting here? We're getting like the Ingo Swans of the Sasquatch from like Zeta Reticuli or whatever. So Charles Smoke, thank you for that. Am I pronouncing that name right?
It looks like smoke. Yeah.
Smoke.
You don't want the smoke.
You don't want that. We do want the smoke, though, Charles.
Thank
Welcome
you,
here, and
Charles.
thank you. So, thank you very much for that, Charles. We appreciate that.
Um,
And Susan Crispin had a comment. How many of these things are conjured? Jesse's big on the tulpa like phenomenon. That a lot of these things are just conjured up or maybe brought to form.
well, we discussed before at length, and I know we're talking about Sasquatch or other
all over the
cryptids,
damn place right now. It
but
doesn't
we have
matter,
discussed
so.
at length that the act of CE5 is basically is conjuring. It's conjuring
Mm-hmm.
extraterrestrials. It's conjuring these craft. So yes, I think that a lot of the stuff could be conjured. I think what we experienced in North Georgia, where the portal thing opened up, you saw those figures, and then the next day we go there to check out the area. We get those weird readings, and then everybody saw the freaking thing jump from tree to tree.
Mhm.
Maybe that thing was conjured. Maybe that thing was
Yeah.
pulled into our reality by whatever was going on with that portal.
Tony Campagna is out. He's got a run. Great chat, guys. Thank you for popping in. Load the barges with depth charges. We're going Nessie hunting.
There we go.
F the
Winner.
Sasquatch monster, man. So now that's a T-shirt. People always tell us we need to do T-shirts. That's a T-shirt.
Go ahead.
F the Loch Ness monster.
I don't like the Loch Ness monster.
What is
Like,
it about the Loch Ness monster that
I
personally-
hate the Loch Ness monster.
Is it just
I don't
like
know.
is it just the way he looks? Is it the fact that it's a waterborne like cryptid? Is
I
it
don't know. I just there.
just rubs you the wrong way?
It rubs me. There's something I don't like. There's just, you know, you look at somebody and you just like, I don't like that person. I don't like the freaking Loch Ness monster.
Well,
I
I
hate
mean,
the Loch Ness monster.
You've never seen the Loch Ness monster, so is
Good,
it just
and I hope
I hope it stays that way.
I hope you don't see me. That's what I'm saying. I hope you don't see me coming for you.
Jesus Christ.
This got real intense about the Loch Ness monster.
Damn, everybody take a breath. So
It's all back off.
all right, so Arcane, what about Ron Moorhead's quantum Bigfoot theory as he explains in his book? I think that of everybody out there, it's pretty damn close to what I think is going on. Do you know what I'm saying? That's my own personal thing. Where you're going, like I said, we're in the flesh and blood Bigfoot world. They look for the closest approximations in the natural animal kingdom to explain some of the weird stuff with Bigfoot. Ron Moorhead did the same thing, but on the quantum level. Now you will have quantum physicists tell you, well, these strange phenomenon only occurs on a quantum level, and we don't see it in the real world. Well, why not? You know what I'm saying? Just because you haven't seen it yet. Maybe people are seeing it. It just hasn't been documented and explained yet. But I think that I don't agree with everything that he says, but I think that that's a very interesting take on a lot of this stuff. So Bernie Gannon, I hope the Loch Ness Monster lobby doesn't mobilize to cancel Jesse.
You know what? Bring it. I don't care. I cannot be canceled because I have an army of people behind me that also probably hate Nessie.
I think that you're probably tapping into something big here, bigger than yourself. This universal hatred for Nessie. So
I think it's because our names rhyme. I have a jealousy. I have like Nessie envy because
well, what the flock thinks the Loch Ness Monster is part of the royal family somehow.
he
So
looks
okay.
like it.
Our buddy Cryptid Responses.
Check his teeth. How about that?
Nessie just seems like he thinks he's better than the rest of the
He
cryptids.
does.
Nobody appreciates that.
Up there in
So-
his lock.
God almighty.
See, nobody likes.
This is why nobody takes us seriously.
Nobody likes the Loch Ness Monster. Oh goodness.
All right. Boy, we veered off into the damn.
Kim Drescher has a good little point here. I like this. But then you have to ask yourself, Jess, what is conjuring per se? Does conjuring bring something forth, or does it open a channel that allows us to see what we normally cannot?
Or are there things around us, energy forms that are just waiting to manifest themselves in our reality?
And something opens up
and
our eyes to it.
Or they want to manifest themselves, and your intention chooses its form. It's a version of the observer effect.
Okay.
By the simple fact of you being there to observe it. Again, we sound like a broken record. We talked about this last week. We got to watch the Mothman prophecies again. But there's that part where Ingrid Cold is talking to Richard Gere, who's supposed to be, Keel's like character kind of, and he goes, "What do you look like?" And he goes, "It depends on who's looking at me." Oof. And maybe that's what's going on at this point. So, all right. We didn't even come prepared for this tonight, man. This has been a damn good chat. The chat's bringing it tonight. You know what I'm saying?
We've got a lot of love for Ron Morehead in the chat too, as well. And I know, like, we're talking about, his book. Reading the book is one thing, but listening to Ron Morehead actually talk about his theories and how he approaches the subject and how he thinks about it and the way he explains it it's amazing. It's just amazing to hear him talk about this. So if you ever get an opportunity to see him in person talk about this subject, it's well worth it. It's well worth it. And actually, you have an opportunity to see Ron Morehead's note.
But Jesse's going to actually be speaking at the
Tennessee Wild Man and Cryptid Con in Montgomery Bell State Park.
And Ron Morehead's there.
Yeah.
We get asked to do these not fairly frequently, but every so often. And a lot of them we have to turn down. But this one, they were like, as soon as they mentioned who else was there, we were just like, done.
Yeah, they're like, Ron Morehead will be there. I was like,
now the thing about Ron Morehead is that I'm not going to mention anybody by name, but sometimes when you meet people that have been around in this field for a long time, you get the feeling, and maybe it's just me, and maybe the feeling's incorrect, so I'm not going to badmouth anybody, but the feeling that I get sometimes talking to people is they're just phoning it in. Okay. Yeah. You have either lost all interest in the topic, or maybe you have lost whatever belief you had in the topic, but now you're just kind of that guy. You know what I'm saying? What are you going to do with your time? You go to these conferences, you're the Bigfoot dude, whatever. You do not get that feeling when you talk to Ron Morehead. When you talk to Ron Morehead, it quickly becomes apparent Ron Morehead, you can't prove anything. Ron Morehead believes with all of his heart that the stuff that he is talking about is real.
Yeah.
And it's just the little things that come out that, again, Ron Morehead, if there's a real deal in this whole field, it's Ron Morehead, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Arcane Discoveries was asking, can I show this? Where's this not working? Well, now my clicks don't work. There we go. Oh, wow. When is this event? It is October 15th, I believe, but it's the Tennessee Wild Man and Crypticon in Montgomery Bell State Park in Tennessee. But it's a beautiful state park, and we're going to have a blast. And I'm very excited to be on the same building as Ron Morehead, because he's been such an inspiration to everything that we've done, everything that I've done. He's amazing, and it's truly an honor to be a part of that. So if you guys could,
too.
Everybody hates Nessie.
Well, then, all right, check this out then.
Encrypted Connect. Oh,
Sam, go ahead.
Encrypted Connection said, speaking with Ron on my show was such a pleasure. It's enthralling to hear him speak about it all. It absolutely is. So if you guys do get an opportunity to see him speak.
We talk about this all the time, but when we don't really go to a lot of conferences or anything like that, whether we're there or not, it's a time issue. But we went to watch Ron Morehead speak. David Pilates was there, and then it was just a bunch of, like, Jesse calls them apers, people that are just into the ape theory,
Mm-hmm.
So they had an open panel discussion at the end of the day, and I'm talking like everybody there, the MC, everything like that is just into this Bigfoots and ape theory. So at the end of it, it was like Ron Morehead and David Pilates versus like the world at the end of it, just because, like, again, it's just open to audience discussion and everybody's like chiming in, but it kind of swiftly came down to David Pilates, Ron Morehead versus the rest of the panel, like the other like 8 or 10 people. And somebody was asking a question about, I was from one of the North American Wood Ape Conservancy guys. Why would you want to shoot it? Well, we need to shoot it in order to have a body to prove a type specimen so that we can get some protection for these magnificent endangered animals. And Ron Moorhead just chimes up and goes, I don't think they need protection from us. I think we need protection from them. I mean, you know what these things are? And then just goes into this rant.
There was like an audible gasp.
And everybody just go, oh, it was just great.
Joe and I went,
yeah, no, but that's always stuck in my mind is they don't need protection from us. I think we need protection from them. So
getting back on the Nessie subject.
Back on Nessie is just, you know what? Let's just screw the rest of this stuff.
I think that it'd be really cool if we could recreate Moby Dick, but I'm Ahab and then I'm on a barge.
Keep going.
Okay.
All right. So got it.
And
right.
Loch
I'm just
Ness.
visualizing.
All right.
Right
and
now.
I hunt Nessie.
Off a barge. So
from my barge.
Okay.
So in theaters 2025.
And what would be cool is if you could be doing massive amounts of cocaine and then there's this gradual descent into drug-fueled madness while you're on this barge hunting a Loch Ness monster.
Where do I sign?
When you get to the point when you're actually like battling this thing, the audience doesn't know if it's like hallucinations or if it's like really going on. You know what I'm saying? So
I was the monster the whole time.
Yeah, you just was the monster. Cocaine was the monster. Anyway. Oh, good God Almighty.
Well, thank you guys for all that.
We bounce back and forth between these are interdimensional predators and there's no defense against them, and with to just lunacy. So, all right. Sam Burton says that he's been to the Loch Ness and there's no damn monster there, is what he's saying. So,
Bertie Gannon says, I would keep my distance from Pilates. Everywhere he goes, people go missing.
That's the real common,
What if David Pilates was a serial killer?
And he was writing these books.
He's writing these books.
And that like years from now, and maybe hopefully he lives an even longer and fuller life, but he passes away and like his family's going, oh, well, he's got these storage facilities like where he keeps all of his research materials at. We should go clean them out. And they go there and it's like people's heads and like formaldehyde jars.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. There's Dennis Martin like freeze dried in the corner. Jesus Christ, Joe. I know it's pretty grim. I'm sorry.
It is pretty grim.
That was pretty grim. I got carried away. Sorry.
We're getting banned.
Yeah, we're done. So.
You get mad at me for going over
I think we're down to like 5 people watching.
Over the precipice.
That was pretty much. My mouth got away from me. I apologize about that.
Joe, you're quick-wit.
All right. Anyway, Shade Viking will be speaking aliens, Bigfoot, and Dogman at the dining room of a Burger King this weekend. Seating is limited, and the duration of the presentation depends upon police arrival times. I
will not be wearing pants. He will be wearing a Burger King crown, though.
Oh, good Lord Almighty! That's probably the comment of the night right here. So, damn, I kind of wore myself out on that one.
Make sure you hit that like button.
Hit that like button, guys. So
before we get banned.
Yeah, just as like a little go away like.
We'll be working at the Burger King while he's speaking.
Man. So,
that's what's gonna happen.
Weren't you those guys who used to have a YouTube channel? Yeah, once upon a time. What happened? Don't
want
to talk about it.
We accused David Pilates of being a serial killer.
Jesus.
We accused Todd Standing of wearing people.
Yeah, that's kind of our jam now. Jesus. So,
This is all speculation.
This is all satire. It's all tongue in cheek. So.
Everything we do is speculation at this point. Oh God.
Oof. All right.
Marcus sent us an interesting message.
What?
Huh?
What now?
No, just that.
Oh.
No.
All right.
So yeah. Dennis Martin Crassus. Yeah, I agree. Something's wrong with him. He's lost it. Joe's lost it. He usually yells at me for saying stuff.
Yeah, that was a bit much, guys. My mouth got ahead of me. I apologize.
Wizard Moon says David Pilates always did freak me out for some reason. What are you getting? Oh, what is that? Is it hovering back and forth?
Yes.
Oh wow.
I don't know if there's a way to.
I don't know if there's a way to show this video or not.
The property owner
sent us a couple of videos. The property in which we did our live stream at a couple weeks ago sent us some new videos of something going on, and it's pretty wild. Joe's going to see if he can share that with the
I don't
class.
think there's a way to.
I don't know if you can or not. We might have to share that next week when we have it kind
me
of
try
queued up
to-
and ready to go.
Let me see here. You kind of man the.
Susan Christman says, if you guys get banned, change your names and come back in disguise. I think I would look fetching with a mustache, so it's not a bad idea.
Let's just wear those
The nose, glasses, and mustache.
Groucho Marx.
The
things,
Groucho
yeah.
Marx look, yeah.
All right, let me try something here real quick.
Oh my God. Jet black dyed goatee hair found at the point of separation.
Ouch. All right. Anyway.
Shots fired.
Damn it.
Oh. Mike
And
A.
I don't, here's the deal. David Paulides rubs a lot of people the wrong way because if I was David Paulides, I would rub more people even the wronger way.
You know what?
The fact that he's got like people who like literally he'll release a book on this, and then that author that will remain nameless will release a book on the exact same topic a month later. I've been researching this the whole time. I would be, yeah, he's got a right to be a little.
The wildest thing you can do is dye your hair, shave this, and then you assume David Paulides' identity. No. All right. What the
So-
flock says, knife check. So we're going to do a knife check. Do you have a knife?
I always have money.
So we just got a new knife in, and it's mine. So we just got a new one in. We ordered it, and it finally came in. I'm so excited about this. It is it's a short sword, and for me, it's a short sword, but it's called an Arkansas toothpick. So I put this on the desk today because I really wanted to show this to you guys. Look how amazing that is. That is a wonderful piece of work right there. So for me, because I'm so small, it's basically a short sword, but that thing is amazing. This is the sheath for it. It's got a leather sheath with it, and it is superb. It's got beautiful just stamping done on everything. It is really freaking cool. It's really freaking sharp, and it fits me just like a short sword would.
But yeah, I
So-
mean, for David Paulides, I mean, we make fun of ourselves on here. We're just joshing around. But David Paulides, at the end of the day, nobody would be aware of any of this missing person stuff.
If it
David
wasn't for
Paulides.
him and the work he's
Yeah.
put in.
And I just have I've got a friggin' broken skull in Hellbent Holler Black and Orange. It's a great little knife, but it's not the damn thing that Jesse has there. So
Yeah, that's okay. Dead End Yard Hunt said it's $4.99 for pantless Jesse at the Burger King.
All right, so you carry that on for a moment.
Get all the
Let me
work.
try
Get all the
to-
Whoppers, kids.
Good.
All right, let's see here. Russell Gray's got a $1.10. We are rolling through the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Joe's trying to put these videos up on here, and that way he can share them with you guys. Crypto response says that's a long sword for a hobbit. That's me. I'm 5 feet 2 inches tall, so that is friggin' gorgeous. It is. It's really amazing. It's really cool. Let's see. We are gonna go through here. That's a toothpick. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going through here. I was talking about my knife. Jesus Christ. I win the knife check this week. Everybody's just talking David Paulides now. Oh, this is going well.
What's that now?
Everybody's talking David Paulides.
Here's the deal, and I understand that people that I understand that people have complaints about how he behaves with people one-on-one.
But I can see.
But at the same token, I'll just say it. The Steph Young thing, the fact that she writes those books like that,
yeah.
and the fact that yes, when you get to a certain level in this, people are freaking insane in this
Yeah.
field. People are insane, and nobody has the ability to go. Well, that's cool that you believe that. I believe this. It's okay if we approach the problem from two separate points of view. Nope, it's you don't believe like I do, therefore you need to be basically just taken out of the subject. So
Arcane Discoveries 423 says, I think someone asked, but I'll ask for them. What is y'all's thoughts on Todd Standing? There is a live stream we did titled The One Where Jesse and Joe Lose It, where we get on the subject of Todd Standing. He's an odd duck for sure. But nobody's been able to disprove him of anything he's said. A lot of people have said that his sister does makeup. She's like a beauty makeup artist, so it's not like she's making special effects makeup. However, some of the way that people refute him is a little ham-handed, so ham-fisted. He's odd. He's certainly odd, and there's certainly some weird stuff there and some stuff that you can't quite trust. But I think that he knows they exist. He knows these creatures exist, and I think he's to the point where he will pretty much do anything to prove that they exist, even possibly manufacturing some things. So it's hard to say exactly where the line between fact and fiction lies. So is that acceptable? Oh, so here's the video that Joe just got sent. If you guys want to take a look at this.
This is from the area that we showed last week with the black triangles in the trees. So
this is the place where we did a live stream investigation from a couple of weeks ago.
So if you see there, and I pause it right there, again, just like with everything else, there might be just the fact that when I first saw it, I thought, okay, it's just the way the branches are clumping together. But the homeowner keeps getting videos and images of what appear to be black triangles on between the trees and him floating around at this point.
Yeah. So let's check this out.
I mean, it's shaky, obviously, but you see it like right there. It's a dark section that goes, can you see my cursor there? Or my cursor's not coming up.
I don't see your cursor.
Let me see. Is your cursor showing up?
No.
Right through there? Nope.
No, it's going to be yours, but you have to put it on the thing that you're playing it from. Or did you?
I presented it on here. Anyway, you can see it in the slightly bottom left right there. There appears to be a black triangular shape on the other side of the branches from there.
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage again.
Well, I mean, it's just that.
Yeah.
You can see it right there.
You can see kind of a little bit of movement there with it too.
Yeah. So
other than the camera kind of shaking a little bit, you can see kind of a bit of movement with it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Something's going on there. You know what I'm saying? Because you start getting to the point where you're just going, oh, it's just the branches clumping together. I can stand underneath trees and take photos all day long, and I might get one that does that. I don't get repeated ones that do that. So,
and the shapes change between the photos, so it's not like he's taking a picture of the same thing over and over again. So that's pretty interesting. We're gonna take a look at those some more.
So, yeah, it's hard to tell on this one, guys. The video is a little shaky, but you can see it on my phone. I can expand it up all the way.
Yeah.
So.
We'll take a look at those and see if anything else pops out of those. And if there's any more like photos or stills that we can pull out of those to share, we can share those next week.
All right. So what else we got there? Somebody else had mentioned this. Whoops, I didn't mean to bring Judy up, although I'm glad Judy's got some happy vibes. Ghetto Yeti's thinking maybe there's a dome or something near where this guy's land you investigated. Without giving the location away, what's the general area? And he's in Georgia. Without doxing him, there is a very dramatic Native American legend from very nearby that apparently people before this area was settled by European colonists, that people were experiencing weird stuff there. So it kind of predates when you would expect a dome to be there. Now, here's the deal. Is there something weird about that area and they have an underground base since then to kind of study it or be there for? I have no clue, but it's weird. It's very, very weird. Anyway, people going back and forth on Todd Standing and David Paulides at this point.
This is like gossip show all of a sudden.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I don't know. We'll take a look at some of that stuff he sent us and see if we can kind of pull anything out of it.
Did you see the $4.99 for Pantless Jesse?
Yes, we went over this. I'm pantsless at the Burger King. Pantsless at the Burger King. We are coming to...
We're running down to about 15 minutes here.
Yep. So we're going to do last call for everybody because we're running down to the last 15 minutes of the show right now. Boy, we covered a lot today, didn't we?
Damn right we did. Good Lord. We're all over the place. So Arcane Discoveries, a deep underground military base.
Yes, that's what it is.
So.
A lot of people think that there are a series of them in the Appalachian Mountains, and people even think that there's some underneath the land between the lakes.
The one area where we've been looking at, where we found the occult activity and where we've been mostly focused on the past 2 years, there's rumor of some sort of underground facility up there. And one of the witnesses that we spoke to, again, who's somebody who's not into this, is just going, did you find the entrance yet? And I'm like, entrance to what? And she's like, there's like something underground there, and told us where it was. We didn't find an entrance, but this is not somebody who's really into conspiracy theories or anything like that, talking about how she witnessed people going into like an entrance and going underground and never coming back out. And we're like, well, what did they look like? Were they wearing uniforms? She's like, they just look like ordinary everyday people. And I'm going, well, I mean, I guess if you were to come, if there's an underground base and you're sending people out, you're not going to send people in like, uniform or anything like that. They're going to want to blend into the area. So I'm just going, and she just goes, yeah, I don't understand. I'm hoping you guys can get an answer for me, but she goes, they're there. So,
yep. All right, we've got a lot of people who are calling it a night. I think we're going to call it a night.
We're going to call it a night too. Let's go ahead. Anybody got anything?
If you guys got anything, let us know. This has been.
We would like to apologize to David Paulides, Todd Standing, and especially their attorneys. Now, again, we don't have it up here, but at the old place, we actually had a missing 411 map up that you could not see in the camera, but that we could see every night. Like I said, I know that pretty much anybody who gets any standing in this field, get it? Gets their admirers and their detractors. But like I said, as far as David Paulides' work goes, I think that the missing 411 stuff, I think it's got a lot of value. I think it's very, very important. It's definitely something that is it changed the game. You know what I'm saying? Coming up with his own, bringing like something to the forefront that nobody had seen before. Well, thank you, Grace W. Grace W. And before the
Thank you, Grace W. Really appreciate it.
She Indiana Jones did right before the wall dropped there.
Judy Wheeler's being a sweetheart too. Thank you, Judy Wheeler, for all the kind words and everything. Dead End Yard Haunt is asking, y'all going to Burger King for dinner?
Man,
no. I am not going to Burger King for dinner.
Jesse is cooking. Although when we were coming back the other night, we hit.
Oh God, yeah.
We had like Taco Bell
at
and
midnight.
spent like $40 at Taco Bell.
At
it was
midnight,
like insane.
yeah.
So
just pray for us, guys. Just
and what the flock.
Sorry.
What the flock's talking about? It's abrasive personality. Some people say that, and we've had people that we are friends with have had not so pleasant interactions with him. But A, separate the man from the work. B, he has said himself on there before that people in these fields are crazy. Like I said, I don't care, man. If we meet somebody who takes a completely different approach than we do, more power to you. Not everybody needs to be in lockstep investigating this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. And Jesse always talks about that bucket of crabs mentality. The moment you start getting some like recognition for your work, people want to pull you down.
It's a scarcity mentality.
Yeah, and David Paulides gets people trying to tear him down. So I'll be honest with you. I enjoy watching him speak more than anybody else I've seen, with the possible exception of Ron Moorhead. So and what's weird is that when you meet him in real life, you hear these like radio interviews and podcasts, and he's just rattling off these cases and dates and names and everything like that. He's just like that in real life.
Yeah.
You'll see people go, oh, I live near this, and he'll be like, oh, the so-and-so case from this. And he knows, he lives, eats, and breathes it. He spends a lot of time on it. So anyway.
It's good that there's a lot of diversity in how people approach the subject and do things. I mean, some people like the Loch Ness Monster, and those people are wrong, and that's okay.
And that's all that matters, man. So
thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's been another one for the books. Southern Sasquatch, thank you for that $5 in the wait out.
Thank you.
That's for the Taco Bell fund.
We need more than that, man. $40 at Taco Bell. Taco Bell's expensive nowadays, man. I haven't eaten Taco Bell.
I think what occurred when we went to Taco Bell would be considered a war crime at this point. So thank you for that.
Susan C., I want to end on this note. David Paulides does seem like he actually, again, he
does. Yes.
We talked about it at one point that it seemed almost as if it was wearing on him. The subject matter was wearing on him, that maybe he had this, and he seems like he's bounced back from it from a bit, but that you can only, I mean, this is a pretty miserable topic. These
Sometimes
are families that have lost like family members. And I think that's a really good point. I think that that probably has factored into it. I like David Paulides. I don't care. I think he's endlessly fascinating, and I think that it probably is bringing more to the table than almost anybody else.
Joe's doing his best to not have David Paulides pop up at the foot of our bed and like strangle him in the night.
Good Lord.
Martin Grove says, "Good night, sleep tight, and don't let the dog man bite." Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We'll be back next Monday at 7:30 Eastern as usual. Turn your notifications on. I am releasing a video. I hope tomorrow afternoon. It should be tomorrow afternoon. I have it pretty much done. I just need to get it rendered out and then uploaded. So you guys keep an eye out. Keep your notifications on. It's gonna be a good old Sasquatching time.
Yeah.
So you guys keep an eye out for that, and then we will be back next Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going into another remote forest in a couple of days. For a couple of days.
Yep.
So just keep an eye out for that video tomorrow. We love you guys. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And we appreciate you guys hanging out and just listening to us babble for 2 hours every Monday. We
appreciate the cool little trinkets that we get.
Yes,
breaching tools.
We appreciate the mail.
Stuff like that. We appreciate the mail. Thank you so much. So
yeah, we appreciate the mail for sure. You guys rock. We love y'all so much. And we hope you all have a great evening. And we're going to put on some music to take us out. You guys say goodbye to each other and have a badass week, everybody. Let's hit it. Let's hit the ground running. It's Monday. Let's kill this week. You guys have. Not literally. So. Let's not like make the week go missing or anything. All right, guys. We love y'all. Take it easy. Be careful out there.